5 paint swatches, 1 living room, 2 colors so close together the average person couldn't tell them apart. That was my daughter's living room. 5 swatches, 2 shades, barely a difference between them. And in her foyer, 3 more swatches that don't have a single thing in common with anything. She finally picked one of the 2 living room blues about 2 months in, and only because the holidays were nipping at her heels. The foyer is a different story. Still 3 swatches. Still not one wall touched. Hi, I'm Mary Ellen. I run a community called Tools to Thrive Today for women somewhere in the middle of making changes. And today, we're talking about the very expensive sounding word for what my daughter's walls have been going through. Perfectionism. A couple of weeks back, I paired up the people pleaser and the overfunctioner in a video about disappointing people gracefully. Before that, and in the first video in the series, I named 5 patterns that run more of our lives than we'd like to admit. Today, I want to take on the other 3. The perfectionist, the doubter, and the one I've started calling the waiter, because procrastinator never quite covers what she's actually doing. All 3 of them are terrified of the exact same thing, of getting it wrong. Start with the living room. 5 swatches, 2 colors, a gap between them so small it barely counts as a decision. The perfectionist isn't chasing excellence there. She's postponing a verdict. As long as there is still 2 living options taped to that wall, nobody has to commit to one and find out if it was actually the right call. Finished things get judged. Almost finished things just get admired for their potential indefinitely. I've watched this play out in my practice and in our community with things bigger than paint. A resume that lives in a weird space of just needs one more pass for the better part of a year, or canceling that salon appointment again, even when you keep dreaming of a whole new style. The perfectionist will tell you she has high standards. What she actually has is a very effective way of never having to find out. Here's the part of the living room story that gave it away for me. Those 2 colors were close enough that my daughter couldn't tell them apart in most light. She asked everyone else to weigh in instead. Me, her sister, a friend who stopped by and got handed 2 paint chips before she even taken her coat off. The doubter doesn't trust her own read on anything, so she goes shopping for someone else's. She's asked 3 friends whether a text sounds like too much. She'll run a decision past the whole group chat before she'll stand behind it herself. It isn't that she can't decide. It's that somewhere along the way, she's decided her own judgment wasn't safe to use alone. Now back to the foyer. 3 swatches, and unlike the living room, they don't have anything in common. 3 completely different directions, and not one wall's been touched. This usually gets called procrastination, and I don't think that word tells the truth about her. She isn't lazy. She's waiting. Not because the choices are too similar this time, but because they're too different, and picking one genuinely means giving up on the others. She's waiting for enough certainty to show up before she commits to any direction at all. I've talked about waiting for the right time, and this is the messier cousin of that. That one was about waiting for permission from your circumstances. The waiter is waiting for permission from herself, and she's decided that permission only arrives once she's certain she won't be wrong. Since certainty like that almost never shows up, she can wait a very long time. One thing I didn't expect when I sat down to think this through was that all 3 of these, the perfectionist, the doubter, and the waiter, trace back to the exact same place I started this whole thing with: permission. not permission from your calendar or your kids or your husband or your friends. Permission to be wrong sometimes and still be fine. The perfectionist needs permission to call something finished before it's flawless. The doubter needs permission to trust her own read without taking a vote. The waiter needs permission to start before she's certain. It's the same slip of paper handed to a different part of yourself each time. The foyer is still exactly as bare as the day she started. No deadlines come along to push that one yet. And if I'm honest, most of us have some version of this happening somewhere in our own house, in our own inbox, in our own half-started something. That's not a failure. That's just the pattern waiting to be identified. I go a lot deeper into all three of these and where the permission piece comes from in this week's post. I'll put the link right below. And if this is landing for you today, come find us in the Thrive Hive. Next time, we bring all 5 of these patterns back into one room and help you figure out plainly which one is loudest in your life right now. I'd love to know in the comments, are you the perfectionist, the doubter, the waiter, or a little bit of all three? I'll be on the porch. Come find me.